Yo, 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 what is going on, everybody? It is great to have you with me. Saturday football is upon us, and your Minnesota Vikings take on the Cincinnati Bengals in a matchup of 7-6 teams, both trying to get into the playoffs. Vikings just need to win their last four to win the division. If they win three out of the last four, they'll probably get a wild card spot. Might even be able to get it with two wins. But nevertheless, we're not trying to get two wins. We're trying to get four. We're trying to get that home playoff game. And guess what? If we get it, it's going to be up against either the Packers, the Lions, the Rams, teams we have a really good shot at. But that's looking forward. Let's talk about today's game. But before we do that, if you haven't already done so, wipe your feet at the door and hit that like button. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button and help me build this community. We got Grandpa Dave. Shout out to you. Great job filling in for One Bar over on One Bar in Lubbock this morning. I was actually going to ask you if you wanted to join me, but I know you already did some duties. So I'll just let you relax, sip down some more of that bourbon there. If you don't already subscribe to Vikings First and SKOL over on the YouTube page, as well as on your favorite podcast aggregator, give him a sub. I make some appearances there as well. And the next show that they have is this afternoon, live at the 2-minute warning. So at the 2-minute warning, hit up Vikings First and SKOL. What's going on, Frozen North? Good to see you as well. Good morning. Good morning. We've got Steve in the house. What's going on, Steve? Thanks as always for joining. We've got the matriarch, one of the queens. We've got Mary in the building. What is going on, Mary? Had a few snowflakes turned into rain. Yeah, it was raining all last night here, starting about 7:45. And I'm like, rain? Really? Well, better than snow, I suppose. We got Yogi in the building. What's going on, Yogi? Good to see you as always as well. And we got Vikings fan 1, 2, 3. What's going on? Got the beer ready. Can't wait. You are correct, sir. You are correct. Put it in the chat. I already know what Dave's drinking, but put it in the chat anyway. What you got on the menu? What do you got on the drink menu this morning/afternoon as we get ready for this Vikings game? All right, we got to get a few things out of the way here first. As always, let's push some buttons. Let's make this go here, and let's make this go right here. I shout out all the people in the chat that put something in at the beginning, and then I shout out a wonderful group of men and women. Particularly, we are talking about the active and veteran members of our armed forces for fighting for and keeping our freedoms, as well as their family members for the time that they sacrifice so that we can be free. Shout out to the brave men and women who serve as our law enforcement, firefighters, and EMS, who in times of tragedy are the ones running towards the danger, while the rest of us are simply trying to get away from it. Y'all put your lives on the line potentially every single day to make sure that we are safe. Finally, doctors, nurses, surgeons, frontline workers, home health care providers for providing us our medical attention when we are in need. Y'all Super Bowl is potentially saving a life. The brave men and women I have shouted out here this morning oftentimes can work thankless jobs. So I'm going to say thank you every time I start out my show. Real quick, it's the holiday season, I know, but I need y'all help to the best that you can, whatever you can do. My mini-me is going on a field trip to the Big Apple, and Miss Mary has donated some prizes. And today is the last day. This show is the last show you can get your entries. Any $5 increment will get you an entry into this lovely prize, a 2024 wall calendar of the Minnesota Vikings, as well as the 2023 yearbook, which also has a tribute to the late, great Bud Grant, as well as the fact that any donations get a partial match from the educational system here in Rochester, Minnesota. So whatever you can do, I appreciate you so very kindly. And again, the first thing y'all can do is if you don't already subscribe, hit that subscribe button. Okay, real quick, NFC North Roundup. Tonight, the Detroit Lions will hopefully lose to the Denver Broncos so that we can get within one game of them. I actually think Detroit's going to win by 3, but I could see Russell Wilson having a little something for that Lions defense. We got the Green Bay Packers hosting Tampa Bay tomorrow. That's going to be an interesting matchup. The Buccaneers are now in the lead in that garbage NFC South division. And part of me wants them to win that division because we don't have the tiebreaker over them, but we do against Atlanta and New Orleans. Packers favored by 3. I think it's going to be a close game, and I think the Buccaneers are going to squeak it out. The Bears, we don't care about. They're going to the Browns. They're going to get mollywopped. Bears are going to lose by at least 10. Okay. We talked about the injury report. We know Alexander Madison, O'Neal, and Jalen Naylor are already out. That was ruled out on Thursday. And by the way, Lewis will not be seen today. Where's T-Bass? Where's T-Bass? I know he's got to be lurking around here somewhere. Probably he's got a few one-liners for Lewis Seen. I don't understand what's going on with this guy. And at the end of it, at this point, I'm just pretty much over it. But we talked about it on Thursday. You got 4 out of your 5 guys on your offensive line. And at this point in time in a season, sometimes that's all you can ask for. Didn't have Ed Ingram last week. Good to see Ed Ingram back. When we think we would ever say that? At the beginning of the season, do we ever think we would say, I hope we can get Ed Ingram back? Kind of like Garrett Bradbury last year for the playoff game, but I digress. Bottom line is this offense is going to need to carry its water. It hasn't carried its water for the last 2.5 games, and you got a new quarterback, the fourth quarterback. We'll touch on him shortly. Offensive line, stick together. Keep it together on the road. Let's just get out of Dodge. Frankly, as far as the injuries on the Cincinnati Bengals side, nothing real important or any real consequence to report there. So at the end of the day, Ty Chandler and company, you're going to have to carry the load. Jalen Naylor, get well soon. That was a cheap shot on Jalen Naylor, but I digress. All right, let's hit the reset button. Hit that like button. Let me get some of your comments up here. Get some shouts to the people that just got in here. What's going on? Speaking of which, we got one of the OGs, the McAndrews. Good morning. Good to see you as always, McAndrews. I appreciate you. I appreciate you as well. So that kid, what's going on? Good to see you. Thank you so much for coming by. We got Raymond in the building. We got Adam in the building. Yeah, I'm get there, Mary. You are absolutely correct. No turnovers. You are correct. Okay, let me get Dave's comment up there because I asked. Herman Marshall Bourbon is my game day sniper. The first one with a side of bacon. You know what? That's the line of the day so far, Dave. That is the absolute line of the day. We got Dylan in the house. What's going on? Big Dub? I hope so, and I think so. All right, next one. We're going to do flies here because we're just going to fly through this here this morning, ladies and gentlemen. We're just going to fly through it. Okay, we talked about the aforementioned Nick Mullins as the starter. He talked about having his family in the building. I'm going to play that quick 15-second clip here real quick here, talking to the media about his starting opportunity, what it means for his family.
Yeah, they are actually. They're very excited. Bless my wife. She's like, I don't want to fly with two little boys. But then I asked a 4-year-old, like, do you want to go? He's like, yeah, I want to go. So I'm like, all right, yeah, he wants to go. Let him go. So she's going to have to fly with him, and should be a fun experience.
It should be a fun experience. Speaking of fun experiences, I know we're off by one day on the calendar, that technically it was December the 17th, which is tomorrow. But for all intents and purposes, this is the 1-year anniversary of a game that I went to with somebody very near and dear to me, along with my daughter and her son. And it was our kids' first Vikings game. That was the game against the Indianapolis Colts. And for the first half, it was just terrible, as we all know. Imagine taking to your kid, and that's your first game, and you down 33-0 at the half. And I'll tell you right now, I said, all right, we get the ball first coming out of the half. Let's see if we can get a touchdown on the board. What do? They went 3 and out. And I'm telling you right now, I would have had some serious thoughts of leaving if it wasn't for them being there, because it's like, okay, well, we just got to have the experience. It was so bad. It was like preseason where you rip up the programs and make paper airplanes. That's what everybody was doing. But we all know how that turned out. And by the end of it, it was a great experience for the both of them. Anyway, Nick Mullins, the fourth quarterback the Vikings have started this season. That is a record for the Minnesota Vikings franchise. And I know this is the year of the backup quarterback because we got injuries galore all over the place across not only the Vikings, but in the entire NFL. Nick Mullins, 5-12 as a starter, 27 touchdowns, 23 interceptions in his career, not just in the starts, the entire career. He's a gunslinger. Don't turn the ball over, as Mary said earlier. And Nick Mullins has a propensity to do that. He's a bit of a gunslinger. He's a bit of a risk taker. And on some levels, that's a good thing. We don't want this safe dipsy doodle stuff, but don't be reckless with the football. This Vikings team is pert near the top of the NFL, and turnovers didn't have as many in the last couple of weeks, but after 12 games, going into last week, we had 24 turnovers. That was 2 a game on average, 2 turnovers a game. You ain't going on the road and beating anybody with that kind of turnover margin. Yes, last week, offensively, again, not going to hammer Josh Dobbs too much, not going to get into the discussion of how much of it was him and how much of it was play calling, et cetera, et cetera. All I know is Josh Dobbs, you're done. And he dang near got Justin Jefferson killed. Having said that, Nick Mullins will provide KOC with the closest approximation to Kirk Cousins that he has on roster. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I would have wished he would have gone with Jaren Hall so we can see what we got. And because I think he has a little bit of a higher upside, but he also has a lower floor. And being that the Vikings are in a playoff chase, they're not going to take the risk. They're going to go with the safest play. So Nick Mullins, you got your family in the building, your wife and your oldest child. He did say that the younger child, I think, was 2 years old and is going to stay home with the grandparents or their aunts and uncles or something. But anyway, Nick Mullins, don't try to do too much. Don't try to play outside of yourself. Be who you are, a guy that can make the simple throws, a guy that can lead the offense, a guy that can occasionally scramble. And with 4 out of your 5 offensive linemen, I hope that KOC just says, all right, we're going to put the tight end over on the right side, whether that is, in fact, TJ Hawkinson to chip before he goes out into routes, or whether that's Josh Oliver, whether that's CJ Ham. I don't know. I don't care. At the end of the day, for me, just be yourself. You now have a full complement of weapons. You've got Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and TJ Hawkinson. And I'll talk a little bit more about their trio when I talk about the defense, but Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd, those two groups of wide receiver 1, 2, and tight end, those two that are facing off each other today very well might be the two best trios in the NFL when you consider 2 wide receivers and 1 tight end. With all that said, Nick Mullins, get your running game involved. Get your screen game going. And that goes for KOC too. Just keep it simple. You're on the road. Your team is now built on defense. Just keep it simple. Don't try to do too much. Yes, get Justin Jefferson some early touches. Don't throw late on a sideline out. That should have been a pick 6. Don't throw high and get him killed over the middle for his only 2 catches of the game. But having said that, this should be an opportunity for the Vikings offense to finally get it together. I know it will never be at the level that it was with Kirk Cousins, good, bad, or indifferent, but it can be a lot better than what it has been with Josh Dobbs. Reset button, ladies and gentlemen. Wipe your feet at the door. If you didn't already do so, hit that like button for me. Let's get this pumped up a little bit around here. Shout out goes to the McAndrews for the $10 super chat. We very much appreciate you. That's 2 entries for you into Mary's grand prize drawing. And I know I got a couple of people in here that I haven't shouted out here yet. So let's go back. I love how this thing never stays where I had it to begin with. But such is life. Such is life. I didn't see anybody else. Yet put what they're drinking and what they're eating today. We got Lord Duncan in the building. What's going on? Yasher, don't you know? What's going on, Lord? Good to see you. Good to see you as well. Oh, yes. After the show, head on over to Purple Rain 247 and get that live watch party going there as well. So head on over to Yogi's channel and see what he's got going on. Let's see. Raymond says, wishing Nick and the team the best. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Never mind. All right. Either way. Minnesota Sports Al, shout out to you. What's going on? 34-17. I will take that. I don't know if it's going to be that high scoring, but I would take a 34-point output by the Vikings offense because we haven't seen one of those in a while. Yeah, we did get 31 with Dobbs in Atlanta, but we still haven't seen enough of it. Be fun to see a touchdown. That's very, very true. Shout out Rap, Purple Pocket Podcast. Rap, text me after the show and let me know if we're going to do tonight or tomorrow for Rapping for Days, by the way. But shout out to my boy Rap. I can't imagine that you don't, but if you don't already subscribe to Purple Pocket Podcast, hit up my boy with a sub. Thank you so kindly, Brad, for joining your boy. As always, thank you so very, very much. Lord Duncan says wings and beer in a few hours. All right, fair enough. Dylan says green tea, Polish sausage, eggs, and toast. Hey, whatever. It's all good, my friend. Too evil to hope. What's going on? It's 5-5 tie. Too evil. You never fail to disappoint. Adam, thanks again for joining. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. All right. Let's get to a couple more topics. We're going to keep it simple here today, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Kevin O'Connell, pick a lane. What do I mean by pick a lane? I mean, Kevin O'Connell, last year you were ultra aggressive. Why? Because your defense was thoroughly mediocre at best. It got key stops once in a while. It did get turnovers, but at the end of the day, it was your undoing in the playoff game. This year, you have an outstanding defense, which nobody anticipated, and it took them a few weeks to get into shape. And now you're doing all kinds of conservative play calls. Your decision-making is conservative at times. I don't understand it. Now, yes, I get it. You've had 3 quarterbacks that you've had to play, not named Kirk Cousins. I understand that there's going to be a little bit of let's pull back, let's pull the reins back, that sort of thing. But what I don't understand is how the pendulum has swung so far in the other direction. Last year, you came out firing the first couple drives. Then we'd have our 1 to 2 quarter lull. And then in the fourth quarter, you came out guns blazing when you were desperate. Okay. Well, we've not been desperate for a while because our defense is keeping us from being desperate. And so somehow, some way, you've decided to always be conservative. Once in a while, open it up. You have to trust the guys out there. Now, again, Josh Dobbs showed you that he couldn't handle it. Okay, now you've got the veteran Nick Mullins back there. And again, for the record, for anybody who didn't already know, Nick Mullins, had he not gotten hurt and hurt his back, he would have been the starter in Atlanta, not Jaron Hall, and certainly we wouldn't have been trading for Josh Dobbs. But Kevin O'Connell, pick a lane. And that lane you should be picking is what you were last year in the fourth quarter when you had to be. Don't wait to be aggressive until you have to be. Come out aggressive. Do what the Vegas Raiders did Thursday night and just destroy somebody once in a while. We used to get on Mike Zimmer all the time about all these one-score games, and we just play to keep it close and hope that we can win in the end. Kevin O'Connell's not all that much different. He's not. Now, again, I don't want to pretend that I don't understand some of the circumstances. You don't have a home run hitter like you had in Dalvin Cook, and I agree with that decision. And Alexander Mattison, unfortunately, wasn't able to step into that RB1 role. And again, he will be out today. And Ty Chandler will get the bulk of the carries. A little bit of CJ Ham, I'm assuming, as well. Maybe some Kenny Wongwu. But Kevin O'Connell, be aggressive. Stop being conservative. And fire whoever tells you to make the challenges and hire me because I'd have a better success rate. I don't understand. And don't be afraid to be going for it on fourth down. One time you went for it on 4th and 7 from your own side of the field, and then you didn't go for it on 4th and 2 on the other side of the field. What in the world? You should always be going for it on 4th and 2 if you're at the 45-yard line or further on. 4th and 2, you should absolutely do it. I'm not saying do the tush push thing. I'm not saying it like that. But what I'm saying is analytically, you should always be doing that. So, Kevin O'Connell, you're the fastest coach in Vikings history to get to 20 wins. Through 30 games, he's 20-10. Okay, we'll take that. But don't put yourself in a position to always be playing close games. Just infuriates me. All right, reset button. Let's get to some comments here, ladies and gentlemen. What's going on, everybody? We got SKOL Mafia in the building. What's going on? Appreciate you coming by, my SKOL, bro. Minnesota Sports Talk with Al Smith says mac and cheese and apple juice. Okay. That's right up there with Dave's bourbon and bacon, but we'll take that. We'll take it. Let's see here. Mary says you have a great prize for next week, too. All right. I'm looking forward to it. Everybody shout out Mary and say thank you for these gifts that she's donated to a collective effort that Rap and I are doing. I'm raising money for my daughter. He is raising money for Gary's grandson for some traveling football. So absolutely thank you so very, very much, Mary. And thank you, Yogi. Hit them like buttons. I do appreciate it. All right. Final prediction. I'm actually going to keep this to under half an hour. So put your final predictions in the comments and I'll get them on air and then we'll get up out of here. Hold on before I do that. Just dink and dunk down the field. One first down at a time. Keep it boring but efficient. Yeah, I can see some of that. But take a shot once in a while. Okay, defensively. Haven't talked about the defense yet. There's a lot to talk about there because, well, gee, how about that? It is unbelievable that the Minnesota Vikings last year, they were a top, 8 to 10 offense, and our defense was putrid. And we go into the season saying, can we just get the defense to be average? Because then we would be a really good football team. And the script has been totally flipped. This defense, not only is it a top 10 defense, it's a top 5 defense in scoring and top 10 in most other metrics. Brian Flores, I'm running out of superlatives to say about him, and I'm running out of flowers to toss his way. He has taken a group of just pretty good players and made them a top 5 scoring defense. Yes, outside of Harrison Smith and Daniil Hunter, what other big name guys does he have? Okay, we love Ivan Pace, but he was an undrafted rookie free agent, and he just balled out last week, got NFL Defensive Player of the Week. I'll tell you right now, though, you better blitz this guy. Get him off his spot early. Jake Browning, another backup quarterback. And what's the story with backup quarterbacks? They come in, they have the element of surprise. You don't have film on them, and they can, win a couple of games out the gates. Well, one advantage that the Vikings do have is that Jake Browning's already been playing for a game or two, and Nick Mullins hasn't. So there's no tape on Nick Mullins, but there is tape on Jake Browning. And I think Brian Flores is going to be able to utilize that information and be able to exploit some of it. Again, the Bengals offensive line, is it better than what it was when Joe Burrow was taking them to the Super Bowl? Absolutely it was. So the Vikings are going to need to be on their P's and Q's from a pass rush standpoint. They're going to need to make sure that their run fits are held. Joe Mixon, he's still got it going on. So when I look at the offenses versus the offense, when you're talking about Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, and Ty Chandler against Chase, Higgins, Boyd, and Mixon. Mixon is the difference. Mixon over Ty Chandler. Now, hopefully, Ty Chandler can be what we all think he can be and what we have seen in spurts. But for right now, Joe Mixon is still a bear to tackle. They are one of, if not the best screen teams in the NFL. And they haven't lost a step in the screen game with Browning as their quarterback. So you got to be sound defensively, particularly on the defensive line. You got to get after this guy. Hit him, knock him down, get him off of his spots. and let him see some ghosts. Let him get some happy feet. Because if you can do that, you can very well minimize Jamar Chase and company. If you don't, and he's got all day to sit back there, yeah, it's going to be interesting. And I said this Thursday, I'll say it again. The biggest key to me defensively is our cornerbacks, our DBs are going to be in a lot of one-on-one situations. They're going to be on islands, and they're going to have to show out. I mean, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, one of the best wide receiver duos in college football history. Probably, in my opinion, two of the top 3 or 4 wide receivers in the entire NFL, sans maybe Tyreek Hill. I put those 3 in one class. Yeah, Jamar Chase is going to want to show out in front of Justin Jefferson, and Justin Jefferson is going to want to show out against Jamar Chase. So you've got the game within the game, the Vikings offense, Bengals defense, and vice versa, but you've also got a real mirror image of offenses from a talent standpoint, backup quarterback standpoint. So as far as the defense goes and what the defense needs to do, it is an unrealistic expectation that the Vikings are going to shut out the Bengals on the road. Now, yeah, we shut out the Vegas Raiders, who promptly turned around and scored 63 points. I don't know if our defense is that good or if the Chargers defense is that bad and they just went into, we're just playing out. Let's get to vacation and get to Florida to do some golfing mode. But defense, you're going to have to carry this team right now until the offense gets on point. And to a certain extent, that's not fair. Just like last year, we said the offense is going to have to overachieve to compensate for the absolute putrid defense under Ed Donoshel. So now the script is flipped. Defense. If you can hold these guys to 17 points or less, that's a reasonable expectation. And that gives you a chance to win. If you can hold them to 17 points or less, get a turnover or 2, and not turn the ball over yourselves, you've got an excellent shot of winning this game. But game within the game, all game, those cameras going to be on Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. And I'm really looking forward to it. JJ been out that many games, barely got, a quarter last week. Oh, yeah. But offensively, to circle back there, you've got to score at least 21, if not 24. And I say that in the context of you scored 3 points last week. The week before that, before the bye, you scored 10 against the Bears, and you only scored 3 in the second half against New Orleans. That's 8 quarters and 16 points. No, that's 10 quarters and 16 points. Excuse me. Offense, you got to do better. KOC, I know you're changing up your quarterbacks, but now you got the wily veteran, the guy who started 19 games in the NFL before. He's not coming off having very little time like Jaron Hall and a journeyman guy who's been all over the place in Josh Dobbs. Offensively, you need to get it rolling. You need to get JJ. But don't force the ball to JJ either. Said the same thing last week. Don't force it to him. Just utilize him. Utilize him as a decoy. Do some end arounds. Do that fake bubble screen where one person looks like he's about to block and goes on down the field. And hopefully Nick Mullins will be able to provide a little bit more accuracy, just a little bit more than Josh Dobbs, but not that it takes that much. My final score prediction, I've got the Vikings winning this game 24-21. We get the victory. We are going to then be 8-6 and again still control our own destiny for our playoff spot. Mafia says 27-10. Shout out Ryan. What's going on, Ryan? Good to see you, my brother. Thank you so much. We got Scoldger Soup. What's going on? Good to see you. Let's get this dub. You are correct. I agree. Where the heck have you been? Where have you been? Vikings by a touchdown. All right. I'll take it, Mary. I'll take it. Yeah, I know the Chargers are terrible. I do absolutely. Yes, we absolutely did miss you, Sub. Yeah. Good to see you, man. I'm glad you're back. Let's go. Frozen says, shout out Frozen. What's going on? Bengals defense is the worst we'll see all year. They better, I don't know what you're trying to say there. I don't know what you're trying to say. I'm trying. No, Scoldger Soup, we are in Cincinnati, outdoors. So whether I didn't see. Oh, Too Evil is now saying 8-8. It was 5-5 earlier. Apparently, that was the halftime score. And now we got 2 field goals and a safety for each team. But jokes aside, all right, I'm going to wrap it here with that. Want to thank everybody kindly for joining me. Hit the like button on the way out if you didn't on the way in. Hit that subscribe button. Share this episode. And everybody, enjoy Saturday football. And remember, even if we get down this time a year ago, it was the greatest comeback in NFL history. I was in the building with my daughter and a very, very, very near and dear person in my life and her son, and it was just an absolute blast. Technically, I know the date on the calendar was the 17th, but, it's been 52 weeks. Y'all get the bit. I think we got a chance, and I think we're going to win this game. And like I said, defense is going to have to carry the load. But offensively, like I said, just don't turn the ball over. I don't like hey, just use a game manager and just be conservative and let your defense win. That's all well and good because you can win a game that way. Can you win that way consistently? Like if you're in the playoffs, I don't know. But for today, that's all we need. That's all we need. Ryan says 27-17. All right, we'll take that. With all that being said, keep your eyes open on the community tab as well as on my channel. I'm not sure if Rap and I are going to do Rapping for Days tonight or if we're going to do it tomorrow night in our normal time slot. He and I will work that out. But what I do know here today, at the 2-minute warning, go on over to Vikings First and SKOL on their YouTube page for live at the 2-minute warning. Depending on how my day goes, I may make an appearance there as well. But subscribe to them as well as Vikings First and SKOL on your favorite podcast aggregator, as well as come on back, whether that's tonight or tomorrow night, to Purple and Gold for Days for Rapping with Days. Thank you kindly, everybody, for joining me. One more shout out to the McAndrews for the $10 super chat. I appreciate you, my brother. I appreciate you so very, very much. SKOL Vikings, let's win this game. And let's get one step closer to the playoffs and one step closer to that NFC North division title. We'll see you live at the 2-minute warning. Have a great day, and SKOL Vikings, baby.